are going to be exploring, diving into all of the possible ways the world could end. In this video, I want you to sit back, relax, and let me take you on a journey that may explore our possible demise as the human race, as the human species. Now, if you're one of those people that finds the prospect of our civilization ending to be less than relaxing and less than savory, something that makes you perhaps uncomfortable, well, I just want to set your mind at ease. The likelihood of you or me or anyone watching this video and everyone on this planet currently seeing the end of our civilization via any of these prospective events is, in fact, highly unlikely to happen in our lifetimes. So, that should set your mind at ease, knowing that you probably won't be around to see any of these things happen. That being said, let us begin. Back in the 1980s, our planet seemed sure to perish in a nuclear barrage, and songs about atomic apocalypse were at the top of the charts. Cue Prince's 1999 hit, "Everybody's Got a Bomb." We could all die any day. By the 1990s, death by asteroid impact was all the rage. After 9/11 and the 2001 anthrax attacks, worries turned to a bioweapon unleashed by a terror group. The latest obsession is a plague delivered in the metaphorical form of vampires and zombies, especially zombies, since vampires have developed an unseemly fondness for chaste romance. In truth, all of these possible ends only scratch the surface. We are fascinated by speculation about the end of the world, I think, because it paradoxically makes us feel safe. Global destruction is so grand, so overdramatic, that it doesn't feel connected to our lives the way more immediate worries like cancer or Alzheimer's are. We can dabble in morbid fantasies about our demise while believing that we won't be the ones fated to see them realized. Then again, lots of people bet they wouldn't be the ones left holding overpriced Florida homes when the real estate market collapsed. We might lose this bet as well. Of course, this article is just trying to overhype that. I don't think we will. But nonetheless, let us dive into all the ways that the world can end. Information overload. Futurist Ray Kurzweil talks expansively about the coming singularity, a moment when human and machine intelligence becomes indistinguishable, and the pace of progress accelerates unimaginably. If minds could be transferred to computers, Kurzweil argues death would become meaningless. And if humans merged with their machines, the world as we know it would no longer exist. In the evolutionary sense, this could represent the emergence of a new species, Homo singularity, that would be mostly technologically driven. And don't even ask what happens if the power fails. Linguist Steven Pinker dismisses this whole vision, linking it to the old predictions of doomed cities and nuclear-powered cars. But Kurzweil claims he can provide the date when the singularity will arrive, 2045, just in time for Discover's 65th anniversary. Odds, indeterminate but likely, human-machine merging is starting already. genetically modified superhumans. The debate over human germline engineering, reworking genes in the sperm and egg to create inheritable new traits, sputtered out early in the last decade after gene therapy had a series of notable failures. The revival of that research suggests it is time to resume the conversation. Soon, it could be possible to design babies whose DNA has been rewritten to give them greater mental and physical abilities. Such transhumans might eventually be a true breed, able to mate only with others of their kind. In a Hollywood blockbuster, the transhumans would include a cackling villain who would turn against his progenitors. But there is no need. If they are truly superior, they might outcompete us by benign means, marking the first synthetic transition from one hominid species to the next. Odds high, since germline modification seems nearly inevitable in the long run. Space colony uprising. From America to Angola, colonies have a history of rising up against nations that founded them. If we ever establish self-sustaining colonies on other worlds, the social and political pressures will probably be much the same. In 1973, the crew of the first American space station, Skylab, went on strike to protest their working conditions. As with the American Revolution, the separation would be violent without being catastrophic. Could be violent without being catastrophic, but an interplanetary conflict opens some grim possibilities. A self-sustaining colony could afford to unleash a planet-wide attack, such as an unstoppable bioweapon, since the consequences on Earth would have no effect on the attackers. The odds are high that there will be a political separation, low that it will be a catastrophic. England colonized half the world and is still standing. Alien plague. A biological attack from space need not be deliberate. British astronomer Fred Hoyle, whose steady-state cosmology was for years a serious challenge to the Big Bang Theory, was convinced that comets are full of viruses that cause flu epidemics when they rain down on Earth. His ideas, once ridiculed, have been partially vindicated by the discovery that pieces of Mars have landed on Earth, and by studies showing that extremely hardy microbes could survive extended voyages through space. NASA takes the idea of alien pathogens seriously enough that it has an elaborate quarantine protocol for any space sample returned here. The possibility that our planet was seeded with microbial life from Mars, or even per Hoyle from a comet, means that we cannot be certain that space microbes would be incompatible with our biology. Odds still low given the sketchy evidence that space microbes play any role in a terrestrial disease. Superbomb. The atomic bomb is hardly the ultimate tool of destruction. Matter-antimatter reactions are a much more effective way to tap into E equals mc squared. Splitting a uranium atom converts only about 0.1% of its mass into energy, but mixing matter and antimatter is 100% efficient. About 100 pounds of antimatter would exceed the yield of all the world's atomic weapons. Fortunately, we don't know how to store more than a few atoms worth of it at a time. Another possibility, if you want to destroy the world, use a giant particle accelerator to fabricate a mini black hole. If it had more mass than that of a large mountain, it would be stable and would immediately sink through the ground, consuming the planet from within until there was nothing left but an Earth-mass black hole about 1/3 of an inch wide. Odds are high for a weapon more destructive than the H-bomb, but very low for the black hole in particular. Weather control mishap. Efforts to control the weather have a poor track record China attempted it during the 2008 Olympics, but nobody can tell if the project worked. Still, some researchers are talking seriously about global climate modification as a way to counteract climate change. These geoengineering schemes include pumping light-reflecting sulfur compounds into the stratosphere and placing giant sun shades in space. What could go wrong seems more obvious than what could go right. This approach could lead to another doomsday weapon. Shoot an enormous cloud of chaff into a stable spot between Earth and the Sun, and you could dim the whole world, possibly triggering an ice age. Odds are very low. Geoengineering schemes would be tested extensively first. A chaff bomb is a slow, cumbersome way to attack. Time travel. This is one of the most favorite tropes in science fiction. Hop into your time machine, visit the past, and you can wipe out the present. Internationally, intentionally or not. Watch out for that butterfly. The current thinking in physics is that time travel might actually be possible. Now, the catch. The same theories say that a time machine could go back only to the moment when it was activated. Even if genuine travel to the past is possible, Seth Lloyd of MIT argues that quantum rules would prevent the traveler from doing anything that contradicts what he already knows about the present. Where is the fun in that? Odds indeterminate, but logic dictates that the destructive interference of the past is impossible. Strange matter. Ordinary atoms contain particles called quarks, which come in two varieties, up and down. There are other kinds of quarks that we don't encounter because they normally form unstable particles. But in 1984, Ed Witten, the godfather of string theory, proposed that there might be a stable state of matter that consisted in part of a third type of quark called a strange quark. This hypothetical type of matter, called a strangelet, could possibly be created naturally by an extremely energetic cosmic ray, or deliberately in a particular accelerator even more potent than the Large Hadron Collider. Once unleashed, a strangelet could act as a kind of subatomic infection, converting any ordinary matter into strange matter. Eventually, it would consume the whole planet, leaving a lump of strangeness in its wake. Odds very low. Cosmic rays have been striking Earth for billions of years with no such effect. Dark matter clump. Dark matter is heavy, but invisible, and yet undetected as of yet. Stuff believed to hold galaxies together. If a clump passed near our sun, its pull could shake loose comets from the outer solar system, sending some of them crashing into the Earth. Australia-based astronomer Kenji Becky claims that one such passage happened millions of years ago, forming a string of stars called Gold's Belt. If a dark cloud headed right into and through the Earth, that might have dire consequences too. In theory, dark matter particles could interact with each other, giving off gamma radiation. As for Abbas, a physicist in India, suggests that the radiation would not only cause a wave of mutations but also heat up Earth's interior and trigger massive volcanism, leading to a double extinction. Odds indeterminate. Dark matter is so elusive that an event could be starting right now, and we might not know it. Solar shutdown. Back in the 1970s, when it seemed that the sun was not emitting the expected number of particles known as neutrinos, some solar physicists proposed that our star might go through million-year stretches of reduced activity, during which time its brightness could drop by perhaps 40%. Although the initial evidence for a solar shutdown evaporated, the mechanism remains possible. Such a dip would put our planet in a deep freeze, and in fact, paleontologists now find evidence of one such episode of extreme cold nicknamed Snowball Earth, about 650 million years ago. If the sun dimmed significantly today, the oceans would gradually freeze solid, and most multicellular life on Earth, humans included, would probably go extinct. The odds are low. There is no evidence that other sun-like stars experience such shutdowns, though there is not much proof that they don't. But what about scenarios that are plausible? Up until now, we've been exploring a variety of rather extreme scenarios that may occur but are unlikely or may not happen in our lifetime. What about some scenarios that are a little more plausible? For two key natural disasters, asteroid impact and flood-based volcanism, it is not a question of whether they will happen again, but when. NASA is now quite sure that no Earth-killer asteroids are on a near-term collision course. But 50-meter asteroids large enough to flatten a city strike every few hundred years, and almost all of them are uncharted. Large-scale eruptions happen roughly on 25 million year timescales. A regional supervolcano could erupt at Yellowstone in the next few thousand. A magnetic field reversal is a near certainty within the next few 100,000 years. But there is no evidence that reversals actually are deadly. Global epidemics, global warming, and environmental toxins are here now, but it is not clear that any of them have the potential to wipe out humanity. The risk of biotech disaster are even less established, since nobody has yet designed a deadly pathogen or established a health risk from genetically modified organisms. Another global war seems depressingly likely. The question mark is how deadly the weapons will be next time around. Ecosystem collapse may have helped usher out the dinosaurs. An asteroid and huge eruption also contributed, but we humans are putting a lot of our own stresses on the web of life. There are some possible but extremely unlikely scenarios. Gamma ray bursts happen constantly, but we know the likely kinds of progenitor stars, and there seems to be none close enough to cause serious trouble. Black holes are a legitimate threat, but the nearest known one is 1,600 light years away. Solar super flares have been tentatively observed on some sun-like stars, but there is strong evidence the sun has never produced such an outburst, and stars become less active as they age. A particular accelerator mishap is improbable, since nature regularly pelts Earth with cosmic rays more energetic than the particles in the Large Hadron Collider. Mass insanity lacks a clear definition or trend, and it is not a recipe for global destruction unless it triggers an all-out war or terror attack. There are a few scenarios that are indeterminate as well. These have never happened before or rely on mechanisms that lie beyond science. The technology that could allow robot takeover or a nanotechnology disaster has made only modest progress since 2000. The odds of an alien invasion got a boost from the discovery of vaguely Earth-like planets around other stars, but we still have no idea if alien civilizations exist. Collapse of the vacuum probably happened in the first 10 to 32 seconds of the universe's life. Until we discover another universe or develop a better theory of physics, there is no way to judge its likelihood of happening again. Whether divine intervention will occur is a matter of faith. And is this all a dream? Maybe. I'll pinch my arm now and see if it goes away. Thank you for watching this video, my friends, and I hope that you are drifting off peacefully into a slumber as the Earth continues to rotate on its axis around the sun. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.